Have you ever wondered why the smartest people, the brightest minds, often struggle on the path to wealth? They can solve the most complex problems, propose groundbreaking theories, yet when it comes to creating wealth, they seem trapped in an invisible, inescapable maze. This isn't a judgmental question, but a troubling truth that many of us may have witnessed or even experienced ourselves. Ethan was one such person. From a young age, Ethan had been the pride of his family, the brightest student in his school. With a prodigious memory, keen analytical skills, and sharp logical thinking, he always topped every ranking, effortlessly solving problems that his peers found impossible. Everyone believed that with his superior intellect, Ethan was destined for great things, to become a successful entrepreneur, a renowned scientist, or at least someone with a prosperous, wealthy life. He graduated from university with honors, possessing extensive knowledge in many fields, from macroeconomics and information technology to behavioral psychology. He could analyze markets, predict trends, and propose business ideas that left everyone marveling at their breakthrough nature and extraordinary potential. Yet, at 35, Ethan was still working a regular office job with a stable but far from abundant salary. His life passed by steadily, safely, but lacked the breakthrough that everyone had expected and that he himself had once yearned for. His million-dollar ideas remained on paper in neatly organized documents on his computer, or merely ended up as lively, inspiring discussions with friends on weekend evenings. He constantly thought about grand projects, startups that could transform entire industries, inventions that could reshape how we live and work. A mobile application solving urban traffic problems with advanced AI, a revolutionary online education platform using virtual reality technology, or a smart energy management system capable of optimizing energy consumption for an entire city. All were brilliant global-scale ideas, but they were too vast, too complex, to the point where Ethan didn't know where to begin. He kept fumbling with building a perfect plan, a millimeter-by-millimeter detailed roadmap, forgetting that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Small initial steps, such as creating a minimum viable product, testing a minor idea within a limited community, or simply building an initial list of potential customers, seemed insignificant, unworthy of his intellect and vision. Ethan believed that if one was truly intelligent, they had to do great things from the outset to create a big splash, not trivial, mundane steps. This thinking too big mindset prevented him from starting, keeping him perpetually at the starting line. Ethan also frequently fell into a state of waiting. He waited for an explosive burst of inspiration, a powerful motivation strong enough to rouse him and get him to work. He believed that motivation must precede action. He read books, attended self-development courses, watched countless inspirational videos, hoping to find a fire big enough to burn away his procrastination. But reality was far harsher. The more he waited, the more stagnant he felt, the more pressure and disappointment he felt in himself. The truth is, it's actual action, no matter how small, that generates motivation and momentum. When you start with even just one step, you'll find you have more energy to continue, more confidence to go further. But Ethan didn't believe in that. He thought that a valuable endeavor, a great achievement, must necessarily be accompanied by difficulty and complexity, and be the result of a challenging, arduous process. He overlooked simple actions, small but consistent steps, which are the solid foundation of sustainable wealth. He disdained things like regular saving, small monthly investments, or building a new skill little by little. To him, these things were too easy to make a big difference. Ethan craved clarity and structure. He wanted everything perfectly mapped out, step by step, before he began. He wanted a business plan detailed to the millimeter, a product development roadmap devoid of any risks, a map to success without any unexpected turns. He spent months researching markets, analyzing competitors, predicting possible scenarios. But success in the real world is often messy, imperfect, and full of surprises. It requires learning through experimentation, through mistakes, through continuous adjustment, through adapting to constant changes. Ethan feared that ambiguity. He was afraid of facing uncertainties, of situations he couldn't fully control. And perhaps the biggest obstacle for Ethan, as for many other intelligent people, was his excessive attachment to the label smart. He feared failure. He feared appearing imperfect. If one of his ideas didn't succeed, if a project he poured his heart into didn't yield the expected results, would people still look at him with the same admiration? Would they think he wasn't as smart as they believed? His ego, built on the foundation of his intellect, had become a cage imprisoning him. Ethan was captivated by potential. He found safety in what he could do, in the grand ideas he could execute. He spent hours researching, analyzing, dreaming of a bright future where all his plans succeeded perfectly. He felt more comfortable in the world of infinite possibilities, where everything was perfect in theory, rather than venturing into the real world full of the challenges and uncertainties of doing, of getting started. He avoided confronting the messy, dusty reality of building and developing.
Avoiding uncertainty caused Ethan to miss many opportunities. He missed collaboration offers from friends with strong entrepreneurial spirits, small projects that could have provided valuable experience and initial income simply because he didn't have all the answers immediately. He wanted a 100% clear path, an absolute guarantee before committing, but life isn't a problem with a single pre-written answer. His complex brain tended to overcomplicate simple ideas. A business idea might only need to start by selling a small product, testing market reactions, but Ethan would turn it into a 5-year business plan with hundreds of variables and thousands of details to calculate. This led to analysis paralysis. He thought too much, analyzed too deeply to the point of being unable to make any decision to act. Meanwhile, the world rewards simple, consistent action, not endless complication. Ethan always expected money to follow logic and reason. He believed that if he had an idea smart enough, a plan perfect enough, a product superior enough, then money would automatically find its way to him. He spent time analyzing economic models, market indicators, believing that by simply understanding the rules, he would grasp the key to wealth. He thought that logic was king, and money would obey logic. But in the real world, money often responds to emotion, confidence, and action. Someone with a not-so-groundbreaking idea who presents it confidently, dares to take risks, acts decisively, and perseveres often succeeds more than a genius with a brilliant idea who hesitates, fears, and only analyzes without daring to commit. The market doesn't care how smart you are, but what value you create and whether you dare to act on that value. He began to realize that he had always played defensively. He protected his intelligence, protected his reputation as a capable, visionary person. He didn't dare to take offensive risks, didn't dare to venture into new, uncertain fields where his intelligence might not be the sole determinant of success. He feared that failure would damage the image of the smart person he had painstakingly built. He feared criticism, being judged as incompetent. But it was this very defensiveness that trapped him in his comfort zone, preventing him from creating real wealth, preventing him from experiencing life fully. One afternoon, while sipping his usual coffee and browsing social media, Ethan stumbled upon a story about an old school friend named Alex. Alex wasn't the brightest in class. In fact, he was much slower than Ethan at grasping new concepts. He didn't have grand ideas or far-sighted visions, but Alex was someone who always dared to think and do, dared to start with small things. He began with a small snack stall on the sidewalk, then gradually expanded it into a chain of stores, and now owned a reputable food company with hundreds of employees and enviable revenue. Alex's story didn't involve miraculous leaps or unbelievably complex ideas. It was simply persistence, the acceptance of calculated small risks, and most importantly, continuous, relentless action, learning and adjusting day by day. Ethan suddenly realized a painful truth. He had been too focused on being smart, forgetting to do the things necessary to achieve success. He had allowed his intellect to become a barrier rather than a tool to overcome challenges. He had been caught in the trap of perfection, of clarity, of the fear named failure and imperfection. To succeed, to truly create wealth and realize our great potential, we need a powerful transformation. Shift from overthinking and overanalyzing to action. Embrace imperfection. Accept that every beginning is small, can be messy, and that's perfectly normal. Start with the smallest things, with the simplest steps, and build momentum from there. Don't wait for motivation, act to create motivation. Don't fear failure, for every failure is a valuable lesson, a stepping stone closer to success. Don't seek absolute clarity, learn to navigate ambiguity, learn to adapt and adjust. Because wealth is not a reward for the most complex minds, but for the simplest, most consistent, and most courageous actions. Start acting today, even if it's just a small step. That is the key to unlocking the door to the future you've always dreamed of.